Hello Lamai, today I am going to discuss with you the 30th lesson of your textbook. It's the world of life. Under this main topic, the first subtopic is classification of organisms. Let's see what is meant by classification. Grouping of organisms into different levels based on their common characteristics is known as classification. There are two ways of classification. One is natural classification, the other one is artificial classification. The best classification type is natural classification. Let's see what is the difference between natural and artificial classification. If the classification of organism is done by considering the external features and habitats is called artificial classification. For example, if we classify organisms like the birds have the animals having beaks, the animals don't having beaks, or the animals having legs, animals without legs, or animals lives on the trees, animals lives in the water, animals which can have ability to fly. Those are the examples for the artificial classification. In that artificial classification, we don't consider about the evolutionary relationships. The second one is natural classification. It is so important. When we are doing natural classification, we consider as the evolutionary relationships among living organisms. So it is the best type of classification. When doing the natural classification, we consider morphological features, physiological features, cytological features, and molecular biological features. Then let's see what are the advantages of classification. If we do the classification, it is easy to study organisms and have ability to identify specific distinguishable characteristics of the given organisms. And next advantage is we have ability to get an idea about the whole biosphere, studying about few selected organisms without studying each and every organisms. The ability to reveal the relationship between different groups of organisms, as well as identification of organisms with economical uses of human are the main advantages of classification. Let's see how to do the classification of organisms. We can classify all the organisms into 3 domains. It is introduced by Carl Buse. Let's see what are the 3 domains. First one is domain bacteria, the other one is domain archaea, the next one is domain eukarya. The bacteria domain and archaea domains consist prokaryotes. That means they don't have organized cell nucleus. But for the eukaryotes or eukarya domain, they have organized nucleus. That is the main difference between these two, right? When we consider about the domain bacteria, they are sensitive for antibiotics. That means we can destroy the bacteria using antibiotics. And they have different body shapes, coccus, filaments, spiral, and vibrio. And they are useful and harmful organisms. Most of them are very useful. For example, for yogurt production, curd production, compost production, biogas production, and vinegar production. Those are the main advantages of the domain bacteria. And as well as they are harmful organisms, they cause several diseases like tuberculosis, typhoid fever. Those are some example for the diseases which is caused by bacteria, right? And the second domain is domain archaea. The domain bacteria and domain archaea organisms are unicellular. They both of them are highly spread in the biosphere. But in domain archaea, these bacteriums lives in extreme environments. For example, salt marshes, inside the volcanoes, in deep sea, and deserts, the places where the other organisms cannot exist. Also, visible these type of organisms, right? The main difference between the bacteria domain and the domain archaea is the domain archaea organisms are not sensitive for antibiotics. They are not sensitive for the antibiotics. That means we cannot destroy the domain archaea bacteriums using antibiotics. The last and major and largest domain is the domain eukarya. It includes several types of organisms. So, for get easy to study, we have categorized them into the 4 kingdoms. It was introduced by Robert Whittaker. Let's see what are the 4 kingdoms. First one is kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. Let's move into the first kingdom. It is kingdom Protista. As you can see this diagram, the examples for the Protista are amoeba, euglena, paramecium, chlamydomonas, and several algae. They are so green color, and some of them have chlorophyll. Some of them don't have chlorophyll because they are heterotrophic. So this Protista kingdom includes both autotrophic and heterotrophic organisms. They are unicellular and multicellular organisms. They live in any active environment. Most of them do photosynthesis. Amoeba, paramecium, they don't do the photosynthesis, but euglena and chlamydomonas can do photosynthesis. Their cell wall is made up with cellulose like plants. Some of them possess chlorophyll, and the uses or advantages of the Protista kingdom is they form lichen and used to extract agar. It is a polysaccharide, and they used to extract alginic acid, which is used in the ice cream production. Then next one is kingdom Fungi. They are heterotropics. That means they cannot produce their own food. Their cell wall is made up with chitin. It is so much important factor. And the consider as decomposers. The fungi and bacteriums, both of them are considered as decomposers. That means they can decompose organic matters into simple molecules and have filament-like body structure. As you can see these pictures, they have filament-like body structure. The kingdom fungi is used to, the organisms in the kingdom fungi is used to produce bread. The example for the bread microorganism, yeast is used to produce bread, and for the alcohol fermentation, and some of them used to produce antibiotics, and some of them have their reproductive organs as food material. It is mushroom. And the next one is the kingdom Plantae. The kingdom Plantae organisms are multicellular organisms, and their cell walls is made up with the cellulose, and they have chloroplasts to do photosynthesis. There is a classification in the kingdom Plantae. The kingdom Plantae can be categorized as flowering plants and non-flowering plants. The non-flowering plants, some of the non-flowering plants have seeds. They are called naked seed because the seeds are produced without the fertilization in a flower. So naked seeds, they are called gymnosperms. Keep in mind, non-flowering seed plants also considered as gymnosperms. The example for the gymnosperms are Ficus and Pinus. The non-flowering seedless plants, they are also considered as the spore-bearing plants. The example for the non-flowering seedless plants are mosses, ferns, pogonatum, Nephrolepis, Selaginella, likewise. And the flowering plants, they bear flowers. They can be categorized into two groups. One is monocots, other one is dicot. Monocot plants, examples coconut, kithul. For the dicot, mango and jack. Let's see what are the difference between these monocot plants and dicot plants, right? As you can see in this figure, the monocot plants have one seed lobe, that means one cotyledon, and the dicot plants have two seed lobes, two dicotyledon. And the monocot plants have floral parts or petals in 3 or multiples of 3. Dicot ones have 4 or 5 petals or multiples of them. When we consider about the leaves, the monocot ones have parallel venation. The dicot ones have reticulate venation. Reticulate venation. The dicot ones have reticulate venation. And the other differences which are not mentioned in here is the monocot ones have unbranched stem, the dicot one have branched stem. And monocot ones doesn't have secondary growth, and the dicot ones have secondary growth. And the monocot ones have fibrous root system, and the dicot ones have taproot system. You should have to mention the word system. Next kingdom is kingdom Animalia. It is a huge kingdom. We can categorize the kingdom Animalia into two groups. One is group vertebrate, the other one is invertebrate. Group invertebrates mean they have backbone in their body. The invertebrates doesn't have backbone. Let's move into the invertebrates first, because in evolutionary process they have evolved first. The phylum Cnidaria is the first invertebrate group. As you can see here, they have two body forms. If they are attached into the surface or substrate, we call as them polyp form. If they can float, we call them as medusa form. So they have two body forms in their structure, and they have nematocyst like this structure. It helps to paralyze their prey, and they have tentacles to catch prey, and there is a gastrovascular cavity inside the body, and they can their body can divide into two equal parts in any symmetric line. So they have radial symmetric body, and they have two germinal layers in their body, so they are called diploblastic. These are the key features of phylum Cnidaria. Example for the phylum Cnidaria is coral polyps and jellyfish. Next phylum is phylum Annelida. As you can see the figure, the phylum Annelida has segmented body. That means their body is divided in externally and internally. So they are the annelids, also known as segmented worms, and they have coelomic cavity inside the body. Example for the Annelida are earthworm, leech and nereis. And the phylum Mollusca, they are soft-bodied animals, and body is divided into head, muscular feet and visceral mass. They have moistured mucous body covering, and some of them possess calcium carbonate shell. Example for the phylum Mollusca are snail, octopus, cuttlefish. Those are the examples for the phylum Mollusca. The arthropods, they have segmented body or segmented jointed limbs, and their segmented body is collectively form functional segments called tagma, and they have chitinous cuticle. Example for the arthropods are butterfly, cockroach, millipede, centipede, prawn. Those are the examples for the arthropod. The phylum invertebrate group is phylum Echinodermata. All of the echinodermates lives in the marine water, and they are the close invertebrate group to the vertebrates. It is so important in evolutionary process. They are the close invertebrate group to the vertebrates, and they possess sharp spiny body covering and have water vascular system like blood circulatory system of us, and they have tube feet for locomotion and respiration, and they have pentaradial symmetric body. That means their body can divide into 5 equal parts when dividing in a symmetric lines. We are the symmetric line. Then next one is the vertebrate classification. The vertebrates have 5 classes. In invertebrates have 5 phylums. No, the vertebrates have 5 classes. They are class Piscus, class Amphibians, class Reptilia, class Aves and class Mammals. These all classes are included into phylum Chordata. It is so important. So keep in mind these 5 classes are included into phylum Chordata. These 5 classes can be categorized according to the variation of their body temperature. They are warm-blooded animals and cold-blooded animals. As you can see in the figure, the cold-blooded ones are fish, reptiles and amphibians. The warm-blooded ones are mammals and birds. That means they have constant body temperature. The cold-blooded animals have the body temperature which can vary according to the temperature of the environment. Let's move into the first class. It is class Piscus. Then class Piscus include all fish, bony fish and cartilage fish. They have gills for respiration. their body structure is made up with the bony or cartilage, and they have streamlined body shape to fast swimming, and their body is covered by scales and possess fins, and their lateral line, they have lateral line to detect vibration. Their lateral line means this type of line, right? They have lateral line to detect vibration, and they have two chambered heart, and their eyes are their eyes without eyelids. And next class is amphibia. The amphibians include frog, toad, and salamander. Then they shows metamorphosis in their life, and they need water to complete their life cycle, and they possess thin mucous skin with glands, no scales. No scales on skin. They don't have scales on his skin, and they have three chambered heart. And there is a most important and interesting thing. They have large number of respiratory surface to do respiration. They can respirate via buccal cavity, via skin, via lungs, or via gills. Right? The next class is class reptilia. They have dry skin without glands, and possess scales on skin and heart with two atria and incompletely divided ventricle. As you can see in this figure, the examples for the class reptilia is lizard, snakes, crocodiles, monitors, turtles, likewise. And the next class is class aves. For this class include all birds. They have light bony skeleton, streamlined body as fish, and the skin is covered by feather. Scales are limited only legs, and mouth is converted into beak, and their mouth doesn't have teeth. And they are also have four-chambered heart like mammalia, four-chambered heart, and also they consider as warm-blooded animals. And the next and last class of the vertebrate is class mammalia. Their skin is covered with hairs and possess mammary glands, sweat glands, and sebaceous gland, and possess earlobes, complete double circulation, and their red blood cells are biconcave and possess placenta and embryonic membrane. The mammals are all the animals that include in picture, especially whale, bat, also considered as mammals. Keep in mind those are some variations, right? The last part of this lesson is binomial nomenclature. This binomial nomenclature is introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. All organisms can have a specific name. It is called scientific name. It has two epithets. First epithet is genus name, and the second epithet is species name. They are the standards of the binomial nomenclature. First one is the name should have two epithets, genus name and species name. The first letter of the genus name should be capital letter. The other letters should be simple letters. And these letters, this name is written in English letters, and also it has Latin, and the binomial nomenclature, when we are doing binomial nomenclature, you should have, when you are writing a name with binomial nomenclature, you should have to underline the name. And if you are printing or if you are typing, you should have to use italicized font. right? Those are the things you should have to learn in this topic. This is so much important topic because during your examination, sometime your structure paper, in your structure paper, the second question will ask from this lesson. So study well this lesson to get full marks. Then let's meet from next my biological lesson. Until then, goodbye, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.